Some say it depends is a fast way to becoming a senior developer. Cynical people. But is that true for Swift developers? What specific things does it depends really apply to as a Swift developer? Let's take a look. Apple are without doubt a good company, maybe even great. And in the world of iOS development, of course, they're like the big boss slowly giving us different pieces of information and guiding us as to the right way of doing things. But with something like Swift UI, it can feel like they're pushing us in that direction. However, have they really explored what it means to use a technology like Swift UI at scale? That means using navigation in a complex way for notifications. That means the configurability for a local design system, which may not exactly clip into Apple's idea of design. Can we trust Apple to give us all the features we might expect? This kind of goes back to the argument of storyboards or programmatic interfaces. Some people have argued for a long time that storyboards just aren't suitable for larger teams because merge conflicts, for example. And whether you think that's true or not in either of the cases, the idea of implementing a new technology, and let us take that Swift UI example, should be driven by your customer and your business and their needs before considering which technology is more important. Therefore, any technological decision depends on the customer and the business. An architecture for a mobile developer is really important, and you'd expect a developer to look at the problem first. And yet, we all have our own pet architecture, the one we might prefer for most situations. But I really feel it would be a mistake to come with that architecture and try to make the solution fit that architecture, since the architecture kind of is the solution. It's much better to categorize the problem, maybe rank order the issues that you need to deal with, and then look at the architecture that will solve those problems. To do it any other way is likely to produce a false outcome. And a false outcome in this case might mean an architecture that can't perform all of the functions performing that it needs to. Equally, there might be staffing issues why a certain architecture might fit. The staff might be more familiar with certain architecture and there's less new learning required. It depends very much upon the context that the solution needs to be implemented within. When you're working with different people, there's often no set solution that will make everybody happy. Now, we can think of that in terms of developers. We can think of that in terms of product owners and the business. We can think of that in terms of end customers. These groups maybe cannot be equally satisfied with the same solution, be that technical or business-led. Therefore, each solution is a it depends solution, and there's a certain amount of give and take on different sides. Everything is in fact a compromise. And it might be a compromise with the set of skills the developers within the team have, or it might be a compromise in the functionality that can be delivered or the speed of execution. If you should use third-party frameworks within a project is another it depends situation. It depends on the staff you have, the context you're in, and what you want to achieve. And I think things like third-party frameworks comes down to the same kind of remit as style guide. There's no right or wrong. Yes, some things are wrong, but nothing's 100% right. But the idea of whether to use a third-party framework or not is kind of a shades of grey question. Perhaps you shouldn't use one for networking because there isn't capability within the organization to deliver that reliably and have a well-tested solution. But you might choose to develop competency in animation or some other aspect of the app. So it rather depends on the staff you have, what the business would like, what your end user would like, and also the future vision of the outcome for your organization and team. And this is true whether it is for a large corporation, a single developer, or anything in between. So thank you for watching. I think many questions in development require an it depends answer, but this isn't a panacea for everything. You do have to make decisions, and it's looking at the problem and organizing, perhaps rank organizing in priority, what's important to you or the organization, or perhaps both, and making decisions based on that context. And the longer someone is within a context, the more they will understand that context and understand which solutions might work. So thank you for watching to the end if you have, and just be aware of bloggers, people on YouTube who just want to promote themselves and keep asking you to do things like and subscribe. So I'll see you next time.